Well, Dianna Coumont spent nearly a quarter century working as a financial and estate planner, but these days she has returned to a passion that's been with her since childhood, and that is dressmaking. Dianna is the founder of Valiente Couture and Bespoke Services in North Saanich, and she designs custom clothing to fit customers' lifestyles. Before Diana's foray into finance, she had an equestrian line that sold across the U.S. and in seven different European countries. And Dianna spoke with Sheryl MacKay earlier, and she told her that her passion for sewing goes back pretty much her entire life.
I've been doing this and became obsessed since I sewed a marble bag from scraps from a rag bag at age 4.
That far back?
Yes, and I remember it, and it was horrible.
What do you remember, Dianna? What do you remember about that first marble bag?
I remember it was a gray kind of funny fabric, kind of, probably a cotton, stained, but it was in the rag bag, so I was allowed to cut it up. I sewed by hand an area where I put a string through, and my dad helped me with a safety pin how to put that through. And I thought I was just really quite brilliant. But when I look at it now, every stitch was a different size, sort of in a different place. But I actually remember it, and I had it for years.
And what do you remember about like you mentioned, being smitten? What do you remember about that whole process that was so compelling for you?
I was hypnotized by fabric. Literally hypnotized by it. I did terrible things as a child. My mother finally got a pair of cloth fabric drapes from plastic ones, and when they were open, there were all these folds, and I remember looking at it and going, look at that really nice fabric, and my doll would look nice in that. And nobody would see if I took just a little bit from the back of that and I cut a big hole in it. And I did that to one of her dresses. I cut the back skirt because it was in the back of the closet. She never ever wore it. But when she went to put it on, all I heard through the house was Diana Lynn being screamed.
Oh.
And I wasn't trying to be bad. I remember the feeling. I remember the touch of the fabric. I remember the glisten of that blue taffeta fabric of her dress. And it had sparkles on it.
Oh, how irresistible.
And I couldn't help myself. And I've sewn my entire life. And I've deliberately made an effort learning new things since I've been that age. In every class I've taken, and I'm still doing it today. Heirloom sewing, British hand tailoring. I've studied couture now for 20 years. In everywhere I can get it, bespoke shirt making. Doesn't matter what it is. It's the idea of being able to sculpt a piece of fabric to a body. Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm still struck by the idea of you like being this little, I don't know, fabric pirate at home. And
yes.
What do you think it was, Dianna, that gave you such a love and such a fascination with fabric at such a young age? Do you have any idea?
My mother used to call me a magpie because if it was sparkly, I'd bring it home. And it was just a fascination. I had a natural ability. I remember at about 5 or 6, I guess I was almost 6, I wasn't allowed to use the treadle sewing machine because you could stick your finger underneath it, right? And we didn't have plumbing on the farm, and I would watch my mom go walking out to do whatever chores she was doing in that. I could see her out her bedroom window where the treadle sewing machine was. So I had to stand to push on that big pedal, and I was sewing. I had to sew because I was making something. And I knew that if somebody else sewed it, then why couldn't I sew it? But I ran my finger under the sewing machine, and it went right through, it went right through my nail. And I was so afraid to tell my mother what I had done. I had to cut that thread and pull it out myself, and I was very brave. And I would not show her my finger for a long time until it healed. But it wasn't really bad because it missed the bone. It's just a bit of flesh. And I remember, and I still think there's a little dent in my finger from it. And I laugh to this day because I remember looking at the way everything was always made. I have a picture of myself at about 5 or 6 where they gave me for Christmas a hand-turned little sewing machine. And all I ever wanted was a yard of new fabric. One day I would get a yard of new fabric. Because I got a doll for Christmas, and they bought me a yard of, it was a cotton, a very cheap cotton, sort of a yellow with orange and had little flowers and dots and things on it, like almost a Liberty print, but a very poor copy of one. And I thought it was marvelous. And I didn't really care about the doll, except it was a good model. And they gave me a baby doll, which is really not what I wanted. I wanted a bride doll, because then I could make clothes for it.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I cared about. Yeah, it was just fun. It was just, and it's still fun. Like, people say, oh, you're working all the time with this. And I said, oh, I'm having the time of my life. It's like, I've always wanted to do this. I had a manufacturing company for equestrian clothing in the 80s and 90s, and went to 7 countries in Europe and all across the States and Japan. And I brought color into the equestrian world. But it was manufacturing, and it was very nice. And we were nicknamed the Mercedes at one of the big trade shows in Las Vegas.
So you were designing.
All the samples were made by me at the beginning. And then I had 11 full-time employees here. And I had hired a factory in Vancouver with 40 sewers. And then, due to family situations, I retired from that because I was on the road a lot. So I was offered a position in financial. Well, it has allowed me to do this.
But you were sewing the whole time.
I sewed the whole time. I've never stopped.
Your love of fabric, your fascination with fabric continues too, I'm sure. I was just looking at your descriptions on the Instagram and Facebook accounts, and oh my goodness, I just want to go and touch them after you describe them.
You have no idea how lovely it feels. Everything that I make is sustainable because it's all natural. No waste. You'll never find one of these in the garbage dump. You know,
yes,
because they don't wear out. The longevity of it is amazing. Did you get a chance to see the red coat?
Yes, the red coat is beautiful.
Yeah, it has brocade lining, a beautiful brown with red brocade lining. That coat is over 40 years old. My father bought me that fabric for my birthday one year.
That's incredible, Dianna.
And that tells you how it lasts.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I wear that coat to this day, because it's a swing style coat, somebody stops me somewhere and says, oh my God, I love that coat. You know,
right.
I laugh. And where did you get it? And, you know, it's funny because I think, you know, you don't have to have a lot of things in your closet. You have to have the right things in your closet. And it shouldn't be, well, what can I wear? This isn't quite right. And I'm always, when I see somebody always adjusting their clothes, whether it be at their shoulders, their back, pulling it down, you know, fixing the back of their pants or the side, it doesn't fit. You should be able to sit and do whatever you want, wearing whatever you want, in complete comfort. And I guess one of the mottos I've always believed in, and when I read it and I looked, Coco Chanel was quite an inspiration to me. And one thing she said, because there's a big thing with Dior at the time after the war and stuff, and he really had women back in corsets. And she says, no. She says, without comfort, there is no luxury. And I thought that's true. Because when you go somewhere and you're all dressed up, it's the first thing you do when you come home if you're not comfortable during that day.
Yeah, take it off.
You take it off. Why?
Because
you want to get out of it.
You want to get comfortable, yeah.
But what if You could wear it and you forgot you were wearing something fancy. And you could just sit for hours and you don't even think about your clothes because you're comfortable.
Right.
And that's the difference.
When people come to you, do they know what it is exactly that they'd like?
No, they have an idea. And we just sit and chat, and I try and get an idea of their lifestyle. Because what you want maybe is completely out of character for your personality and your lifestyle. And you're not really going to get the value out of it.
Right. Like if I wanted a ball gown, for example, which I never have an opportunity to wear.
Oh, well, we'd have to make that opportunity.
I guess I could wear it around the station Saturday morning.
But exactly what you're saying. It's like if they come and they say, I need something to wear to this event or to go to work. I'm a photographer and I go to a lot of weddings and I have to look nice, but I don't want to be competing with the wedding party. I have to blend in softly but classically and be comfortable for a lot of hours. Okay, then we start talking about what kind of things will she be doing. Was she doing a lot of bending? Or what's her color chart? Like, what does she have in her wardrobe that she does like to wear? And then we just narrow it down and we work until we find something. We look at pictures, we look at pattern catalogs, look online and see what is it you like? What do you find fun? What looks good on you? And I think we should be able to pick something out of our closet, doesn't matter what it is, and put it on and feel good, regardless of our size, our shape, because if the clothes are made properly to you, it flatters.
That's Dianna Coumont, the founder of Valiente Couture and Bespoke Services in North Saanich, speaking with North by Northwest host Sheryl MacKay.